Good morning musings from the studio on this tiny little Greek island. It's a beautiful day. I am late, like a half an hour late. I have been filming my mini course. I got caught up in the grays. Grays are the most amazing colors out there. So we don't think of grays as colors. We think of them as a shade between black and white. But grays are so much more. So on this beautiful Sunday, February 18th, I am mixing grays, filming it for my mini course on mixing colors using a primary limited palette, meaning just yellow, red, and blue. And you don't need any more than that. And it just mixes this array of colors. So a gray is, in fact, the three primaries mixed together. So you can have a very orangey color using your yellow and your red, and you mix a secondary color, the orange. And then when you add a little bit of the blue in there, you've got yourself a gray. And they're great. They are great. And they are imperative for creating a painting. Realistic style paintings and even abstract paintings. You don't want these harsh, brash colors out there, the primaries on your palette. It's too much. Visually, we cannot open up to it, accept it. It's just too much. It's too much. Look at this, right? Your lemon can, in fact, be a very vibrant yellow and secondary colors in there. But when you're painting the lemon, you're going to need to add a little tiny itty bitty bit of both the red and the blue in order to tone it down. And you will leave your secondary colors or even a little itty bitty splash of your primary color in the highlight area. And so it took me a very, very, very long time when I was learning how to paint to really understand that. And I was worried about creating mud. But you don't create muddy colors, which are really difficult. It's just very, very, the muddy colors just kind of suck out vibrancy from your painting. But if you're only using the primary colors and no other colors on your palette, you will not mix mud. You can mix a muddy color, but it won't look like mud. And of course, this is also something that takes a while to begin to truly see the difference in painting. So you mix a color using the primaries that's muddy in color. We think of mud and you think of a dirt road and it's got water on it and it's muddy. That's officially that's what mud is, obviously, and the color of mud is that. But when you're mixing the three primary colors and you're creating a muddy color, it's not mud. But when you have a lot of different colors on your palette, too many mixes. That's why you want the three primary colors to mix your muddy colors. When you have too many mixes on your palette and you create that same muddy color, it will be devoid of vibrancy. It's like, too many cooks spoil the soup kind of thing. Does that make sense? It's pretty much the same thing. When you put too many spices in your soup, let's put it, you're one cook and you're putting too many spices in your soup, you're going to ruin the soup. It's too much. It's not going to work. It's kind of the same thing. And just know that if you're a beginner, you won't really be able to separate and understand these two patches of mud color. But the more you gain experience through practice, through painting after painting after painting, through really spending some time on the primary limited palette, you will, in fact, have all the tools you need to add more colors on your palette and to know how to mix them. And it's the same idea, you guys, of start out minimal. Don't overcrowd your studio with all sorts of stuff. Keep it small. Keep it simple. It's the best way to learn. If you think of it like a toddler learning how to walk, the concentration is pretty much on one foot in front of the other and standing up. They're not really trying to do ballet. A toddler is trying to learn to walk. And by learning how to walk really well so that they can run and turn around and stand up and sit down and all of this without tumbling and falling over, then they can move out into, oh, well, how do you how do you dance? How do you move your body in different ways? And they begin to branch out. It's the same thing, you guys. I don't mean to bring us down to the toddler stage, but that is kind of how learning goes. We have to start small. So if you're a beginner out there, stick to a limited palette. You don't need any other colors but yellow, blue, and red, and white. Don't get a black. Forget blacks. You can bring in a black color later on. If you are an intermediate or advanced artist, well, oftentimes it is extremely helpful to pull everything off your palette, come back to the primaries, and create from there. There's always something to learn when you are working with the primaries. So with that, you guys, I am going to go off back to my filming for my mini course on this limited palette and the openings and the joy and the understandings that you can paint anything with your 3 primary colors. And it's a great practice. It's, I think, vital for beginners. And I think it's also vital for intermediate and advanced artists as well to come back to your primary palette. Get rid of all the stuff, clear out some space, take some breaths, breathe into it, open up, and discover something new. So you guys, be inspired, be creative, and be you, and have a beautiful, beautiful day.